Hey there, coffee blurs and nerds. Welcome to Breaking the Crust, where we dive into the rich world of coffee and the vibrant stories of those who shape it. Each episode, I sit down with a remarkable guest, someone who's brewing their own unique blend of passion, community, and change in the coffee industry. Today, we have the pleasure of chatting with John Onwuchekwa, former pastor, co-founder of Portrait Coffee, and a brewer himself of Conversations. His journey is one of resilience, compassion, and a deep understanding of the power of coffee to build community. But before we dive in, let me take you to a place where coffee magic unfolds like nowhere else. We're starting our journey at the Gilly Brew Bar, an Atlanta gym known for their inventive elixirs and inviting ambiance. As with each guest, I endeavored to make a coffee blend for John that is as unique as he is. So for John, I've crafted a blend as bold as his vision, as deep as his insights, but we'll get more into that later on. For now, join us as we break the crust of conventional coffee talk. It's time to savor the aroma, taste of the flavors, and embrace the magic that unfolds when coffee meets community. I'm your host, Niki T, and this is Breaking the Crust. Okay, what I'm looking forward to today, meeting with John, is getting to see how he is off the stage and not in front of an audience. He's very intentional in his wording and how he talks when he's speaking in front of a group of people. He does it well. I'm looking forward to getting to know him in a more kind of laid back, one-on-one setting. Yeah.
Actually, starting a church in Atlanta that brought me here. So I moved to Atlanta 14 years ago.
Wow, okay.
To help start a church. This is maybe 11 years ago. There was a group of them that all moved into the West End. So the community was you talk about 11 years ago, not just the hood, but the hoodiest of the hoods, right? Okay. So you drive down a street, there'd be 20 homes on the street, 13 of them are vacant. And so Richard and his family, my guy, and then two other families all were like, hey, we can move anywhere we want to in the city. We would love to move to a place that kind of needs some help in the people that are trying to rebuild it. So the three families, they moved in there to the West End, and we're just like, all right, where do we go to get plugged in and involved? So they started to volunteer for PTA, community cleanup, neighborhood association stuff. And as they did that, people started to, come in and move in, and things were built up. And it was weird, because there was this community of young, mainly Black and brown folks, but diverse people who all moved in there and bought homes over a decade ago and have just been a part of kind of slowly seeing it rebuild. And we just start to spend a bunch of time with the folks there in the West End. And we're like, yo, this is dope. And so we go back and talk, and it's like, what does it look like for us to sell our house and to move into the West End? Okay. So we sold our crib and moved there into the West End. And then that was where it was then as things grew, there were people that were just a part of the West End, right? Who would say things like, listen, we don't really mess with all that, Jesus, Christianity stuff that y'all be on. But they was like, yo, but the way that y'all have served us and loved us, listen, if y'all were to start a church here, we'd be down. So that's what they said.
Wow, okay.
See the little bandana, there's a story behind that.
Oh,
Come on.
Okay.
that good little tart flavor.
Yes, I love that. I like the tartness.
Sorry, this is a long where you from story. How'd you get here? We made the commitment that all of us were gonna just buy homes in the West End. So I bought a home in the West End. We started church there in the West End. And then it's like, and then in a few years, we find ourselves at a place where we're a couple hundred people at the church. Half of the people at the church live in the community and are serving. As we look at the organizations that are here in the West End, and it's right at the end of the day, I know like religion is polarizing all that stuff. So we weren't like on the corner on soapboxes, right? Picketing or proselytizing folks. But it was if you just took an objective look, it's like, all right, is there another organization in the West End with as many mobilized people and resources as we have to help out? And it just wasn't the case. So we're like, hey, let's start a job readiness program here in the West End. People need work, let's help folks out. So people came through, they completed the program, and they're like, we're ready to work. But there aren't any jobs. Or there are jobs, but what we found out was there aren't careers there in the West End. So West End felt like an opportunity desert. So then that was when it was like, all right, well, wait a minute. Is there an industry that we can bring to the West End that is a part of a billion-dollar industry that if somebody comes in, they can learn it in the time that it takes them to learn a trade, and we can provide not just a job, but a career. And that's where it was like, coffee.
Okay.
And that's how Portrait Coffee started.
Oh.
Yeah. So the bandanas on the drink, they first bought this place, a mayor's house. People came in and out for coffee. And people from the surrounding community started to report them saying, all these folks that run up in and out of here, it's gang related. They must be running some kind of drugs or stuff up there. So they had to spend all their time trying to work through all that. And they're like, oh, bet, you think that we're a gang? We're the Gilly Gang. And so now, throw the bandana on the cut, right?
Okay.
Like, this is what we do. We take the critiques, the things that are frustrating, and we turn it into something that we wear, that when you tell that story, people smile and laugh. So,
Going back to that story of just like starting a church and then coming to a brand new community to build something there. Part of what's fascinating to me about that is just this like idea of like if someone else is doing it, it's like wow, you must be just like superhuman, but if it was me, it would be like proof to me like anyone can do this,
right?
Like, because I'm not like I just like decided, be the change you want to see. Does that feel like how it was feel? Did you feel powerful in a good way, or did you like did it just feel like normal to you?
I felt the opposite. Right? Whenever you're starting anything and you know what you want it to be, your inadequacies, like they're written in capital letters and bold, right? And your strengths are lowercase small font. I think what I've learned through the course of the years was I can do anything that I want to do if I take all the first person pronouns out of it.
Okay.
So it's not going to be I. Okay. If I'm going to use any first person pronouns, they got to be plural. It's going to be we, right? Okay. So what I've learned is like, oh, no, this is what I like. This is what specifically I do. This is the contribution that I make to seeing things start. I have an idea, and then I say, all right, if we're ever gonna see this thing work, then I think we're gonna need a team made up of, you know, this person, this person, this person, and this person. And then I convince people to be a part of the team. And then we got the team, the idea, and the resources. And it's like, let's do this. And it goes, right? April 14th of 2015, my brother died. And so it was this like, you know, you talk about just being in the lowest place of your life, unable to, you know, get up off of the couch, you know, didn't want to open the blinds, right, to let the sun peek through. And you're just so aware of, yo, I don't have anything to give. That's why I think like so many projects that people want to do, right, fail because they want to start it and then inevitably, like something's going to happen. There's going to be some type of discouragement, a roadblock, a speed bump that you didn't account for. And it's like when you're laid out, is the thing gonna continue to go on? And so I think early on, yeah, especially with the church plan, I saw, oh, wait a minute, you know, things can still go on even if I'm not involved. If I build a team and if the thing that I build, that I want it to sustain or outlive me, and at some point, we're gonna have to build a team, so why don't we just start from the jump? And, yeah. That's good.
Right? It's incredible, right?
I don't know what I was expecting, but that was a lot of flavor.
That's incredible.
Keep my dollar.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and not. See, it's a fat washed cold brew. Fat wash mean, you know how they make cold brew? It's like, so they put the ground coffee in a bag in water. The bag just like makes it easier to filter out the coffee, but you know, you put it in the fridge and yeah, okay. They put butter in with the bag, put it in the fridge, and then after it's done brewing and the butter hardens, they scrape off the butter. Yeah. Okay, that's a terrible description. Let's start again. This elixir from the Gilly Brew Bar is called The Giver. It's a cold brew that's brewed with butter, with a tonic syrup, sage, black pepper, topped with a dollar bill, because it's The Giver. So it gives, right? Get it? Anyway.
That's amazing.
It is. Even how I got into coffee, right? You know, 12 years ago, I started, you know, probably about once per month, I would be on a plane somewhere to go and speak. Okay. And so I also just got into coffee then. And so I would travel to like, you know, I'd go to, you know, LA, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, Memphis, Chicago, right? So, and every place that I would go, I would touch down and I would just tweet out, right? Back when Twitter was a nice place to be, right? Right. I would just put, where's the best coffee shops? And I would go in and I went to, you know, all of the ones that people know. Okay. And it was, the coffee was great, but it felt interchangeable. One, the people behind the counter felt interchangeable. Like I rarely sat across the counter and had an experience like this. People in the spot were the same, but then things on the menu all felt the same, right? And so I think it was back then that I longed to feel like, what would it be like if we had Black and brown people not just in front of the counter, but in charge, creating the menu, right? Setting the vibe, the aesthetic, the culture, being creative, innovating in the space. And I think if I could have like closed my eyes and just thought about what that would look like and what it would taste like, that's why I'm like, kill it, right? Yeah. I got into coffee a decade ago, working with coffee group here, and they talked about all the good that they did at Origin. He took a trip, I think, to Rwanda, and went there and was like, "Oh, this is great. Yeah, the farmers are here, and all right, yeah, buying coffee, that's great." And then it's like, all right, now it goes to the washing station and they're washing it there, but it's like, hey, who owns the washing station? And the group's like, oh, we own it. And it's like, oh, so they own the land, they own the coffee, and then at the first place in the supply chain where they could make more money if they owned something, y'all own it and they don't? It's like, man, when we come back here, y'all sure are talking a big game about how much you're helping, but I don't think you're helping as much as you think that you are. And so seeing that, so that was what got him maybe to say, hey, I think there's something more that we want to do here.
You were talking about like building community.
Yeah.
How can other people like emulate that and build something that not only like sticks around but stays true to your vision?
So I think one of the first things that I found is like, and I did not come up with this phrase, right? So I just want to, make sure I give the citation and credit when it's due. My homie Abe Cho, he's up in New York. And we've been together in certain rooms where we talk through, community transformation, what it looks like to really build the type of group that does great things in the long run. And what he says all the time is, change moves at the speed of trust. And that's where it's like, that if you get a group of folks and you're like, man, eventually, I want to do something great with this group of individuals. So many people say, all right, I've got the thing that I want to do. I've got the folks that I want to do the thing with. Let's get the people towards that thing. And they start to try to move through that change and they don't build any trust. And as long as things go well, things are fine. But then it's like, then you hit a bump in the road. And that bump in the road could be prosperity or adversity. Sometimes the bump in the road is things don't work out like they should, and immediately people start to blame folks, and then it falls apart. A bigger bump in the road is prosperity. Things start to go well, and immediately people outside start to rank the importance of the people that are on the team in the inside. So they'll pick out one person and they'll be like, yo, yeah, like this is his thing or her thing. And then when that takes place and you don't have trust, that people that contribute start to look and it's like, see, they're getting all the credit, and things start to fall apart. Where, it's like trying to build a house and you have not laid a foundation. Something is going to blow that house over. But if you do know that change moves at the speed of trust, then you say, all right, hey, this is the thing that I want to do. These are the people that I want to do it with. And so the first step is I just want to make sure, let's take the next year or so and let's just get that group together and let's consistently share meals and eat. No agendas. Let's just build trust. And then what you get is like, when they hit those speed bumps, because the speed bumps are going to come, the way that you know that you have trust with a group of folks is when those speed bumps come, when everybody's in the room, people feel like they have the ability to say, hey, this is what I felt. Let's talk through this.
Yeah.
Where you don't have trust, you have a room full of people and there are no arguments in the official meeting. But then there's always meetings after the meeting where people get into the groups that they trust and they really share how they feel. And it's part of it is just building that trust. And it takes time, right? And that's the thing that I feel like that keeps us, our crew, is so much urgency, but I think people don't realize the patience that it takes to really see things. Go.
Like with Crystal. Crystal, by the way, is the director and producer of this show. You can kind of see her here as she holds our drinks hostage to get the perfect shot. There she is. Oh, why are you covering your face? There's her hand. Oh, there. There she is. Slow down. Slow it down. There we go. That's Crystal. No agenda. We were just talking. Like, I don't think I would have as much faith and trust that I have now, like with this project.
Right.
We're trying to get something from one another.
When relationships aren't transactional like that, it's just so much easier to build trust where you're not questioning like the transactional nature of things. It's very hard to build trust when you're like, case in point. So every February, our email inbox when it comes to partnerships is overrun. I mean, overrun with, we want to do this and this and this, and we watch your brand and we blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, that's fantastic. That's great. It's hard to believe that is genuine and authentic because it seems like the flood comes in February and this relationship seems very transactional, right? And so that's, probably one of the things that kills relationships and group efforts more when people just feel like, do you really want to partner, or is there an ulterior motive and an agenda that I'll be useful for? And then after these 28 days, then it's back to business as usual.
It was very polite how you said, it seems like...
It's funny.
It's funny. It's that time of the year.
Birthing passion in people, it's like planting plants, right? Like, it's like seeing a tree grow, right? Most people think that building an organization is like building a building. They think it's like bricklaying.
Yeah, okay.
And with bricklaying, time, effort, and money are going to determine how fast and how high that building gets built. Yeah. When you're trying to see a tree grow, time, effort, and money, it doesn't matter. Like, you gotta have patience. Water it as much as you want to, but you cannot pull a tree up out of that seed. Yeah. You just gotta let it grow in its own time. Now it's just, all right, there's things that we wanna see take place, and it's what I know is that these things are urgent, but I can't be in a rush, right? Yeah. What's your journey into coffee?
I really like the difference between like how you ask that, like people who actually, you can tell want to know the answer. When I get it from, honestly, just mostly white people, like when I start actually to tell them, they start like drifting off or something. Like, it's just so different. When I was young, like little, and I would go, visit my grandma, and Nana would make me coffee. I still remember the very first time that she made me coffee. The this much
Yeah,
coffee, sugar, this much milk. My first coffee job was a Starbucks. I didn't like coffee. So I get a job with the Starbucks. They were just very loose, you know? They were more themselves than anyone else I had worked with before. Because I came from corporate, environment.
That's interesting.
By the third coffee shop, I noticed this pattern of people being like the owners, this is how you do things here.
Right.
And it trickled down to the other baristas, especially ones that had been there for years. This is how we do things here. It's the best way. This is just how you make espresso, period.
Right.
No sense of there's other ways to do it.
Right.
And when it came to just the coffee, the fact that it's like this perfect intersection between craft and science. Like I loved both aspects of it, and it was just proof that there really is a lot of things you can do with it.
Right.
So I started experimenting with different ways to brew.
Yeah.
It's just starting with the pour over. Your pour speed changes the brew. How many pours you do changes the brew.
Right.
The water temperature, the grind size, the height of the water.
Yeah.
Just endless things that you could change, small things. And so I was looking on YouTube trying to discover new things I could play around with.
Yeah.
And I was only seeing these white coffee bros doing the same things.
Right.
Sometimes one guy would be like, this is the best way. And another guy would be like, this is the best way. The same thing I was seeing in coffee shops.
Right.
It's do we all play around with it yourselves to know that? And how are you telling people that this is the best tasting coffee with because I'd hear someone say that to me this, and I'd try it this.
It's regular.
Yeah, and then I know people that like their Folgers or whatever. I found pretty relatively quickly, even though I kept returning to it, that being behind the bar didn't work for me because not everyone shared that. It felt very closed off every time I was working behind the bar. It's there's no one to connect with. Plus, I felt so lonely. I wasn't working with any Black people. Right. Well, I guess I got to do my own thing.
Yeah.
I just want to see people like me doing videos that didn't have to be so clean cut and white backgrounds everywhere and talking the same way.
Yeah.
So I was okay, I'm gonna make my videos just be kind of a little bit chaotic.
Right.
It actually took probably about a year for me to actually do it because it would just terrify me, the idea of it every time. But it was Mike, my partner, that kept encouraging me.
Come on, Mike.
Yep. There's no shit. I wouldn't even be here at all, or in coffee probably still if it wasn't for him. Be yes, you have something to say.
Mike.
People need to hear what you gotta say.
I love it. Yeah, that's dope. yeah. Toni Morrison, she says, if there's a book that you really, really want to read, often you've got to write it, right? And so it's so just that, I really, really wanted to see it and I didn't see it, and it's all right, I guess I gotta create it. Yeah. Oh, that's dope.
Hey, waiting to get right, only leave you left behind. Up goes the early bird soaring down. Scrounge around for whatever words might be obtainable.
I would walk into all these places, right, as I would travel and speak and, go here. I would find myself in different shops, but I felt like I was looking at the same people behind the bar and in front of the bar, right? The avatar, the bearded white dude, the flannel. And when I would ask their stories, how did this start? And everybody's story was the same, right? It was just, we, loved coffee and just want to start a shop and here we are, right? And it just, to me, it just felt so uninspired, unoriginal. I want to be inspired to do what I do, and I want to inspire the people. That as I share my story or my background, how I came in, it's not that I want people to walk away being impressed, right? I'm not trying to spend my life trying to impress people, but I do want to inspire them. You know, what I enjoy about convos like these, or the other ones that I've seen in this space, is that I constantly find Black and brown folks in this coffee space. And to hear their stories, like, I always walk away inspired. Like, that, like, yo, I'm so inspired by how you made your way here and have carved out a like space for you in this space that is not intentional about trying to create a space for you. Mm-hmm. Most of the spaces that are created for us are, you know, usually created in February.
Yep.
Conveniently created.
Yeah.
There, so I'm just inspired by the coffee lane for himself.
So what's available, not a lot it seems. What you gonna do for it? Anything I means? Type of dedication you gotta have as you're blazing the path.
The funniest, like, why are you in coffee story that I've heard, they had bunnies and they're like, oh, what am I gonna get into next? They went to a coffee farm and they were watching the washing process and they're like, oh, it's so dirty. It was like he endeavored to like make a coffee that was clean. That was his thing. It was this isn't new. Like, this has been around for a very long time, and people know what they're doing. And
it's agriculture. If you're disgusted by this, wait until you find out how tomatoes get to the grocery store, right? Wait until you find out how wine is made or what they do with it.
Like, how uninformed, how completely, just, and privileged to be like, I see something that I don't understand, right. So I'm going to create an entire business based on my ignorance, right. Basically.
That's wild.
Wow.
That is wild. All right?
White people.
Listen. That's it.
Do you have the barista steady hand?
What's up, y'all? You doing all right?
We're doing great.
Yeah, is this y'all's first time here?
Yes, it is.
It's not mine,
Okay.
but it's all of theirs.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Thank you.
Sorry for disturbing your filming.
Oh, no. It's great seeing y'all.
I like your hair.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did it this morning. The collective roasting experience when we started Portrait the Roastery was 0 years and 0 days of experience.
Okay.
And last year, I think it was April, Food and Wine did hey, here are the top 50 roasters in the US by state. And Portrait won for the state of Georgia. And it's like, wow. But nobody had roasting experience. And the crazy thing is, coffee roasting, it is an art and a science. And this is coming from somebody who, right, knows the very basics, but I'm not down there roasting coffee.
Gotcha.
However, roasting coffee is not like making wine. Roasting coffee is not, I say this not wanting to diminish what anybody does because it is a skill that needs to be refined, and I do not know the finer points of all that. But what I do know is that it's not rocket science. And roasting is something that I feel like, unfortunately, has, the perception of it has been shaped by the pretentious package that most of coffee is shaped in.
Yeah.
Something more elegant and elevated and unattainable, something that, mere mortals can't grasp. And it's like, yo, fam, it's espresso. It's a machine, it's accessible, it's not unattainable. And show you?
the ways of the things that we do. Ball hard and hold everyone who here accountable. Speaking up, stack it up till it's high as the stars in the skies. Always told to shine bright. You see it in my eyes.
I have something for you.
Oh, okay.
A coffee blend. I made
Okay.
you a little sample
Come
of
on,
a
come
coffee
on.
blend. So I was trying to create a blend that had the traits that I saw in you.
Yeah.
I was at that, I don't know what you call it, like the little seminar.
LA, yeah, the
in
little
LA,
thing. Yeah.
And so you were talking about like using that metaphor of
Yeah.
coffee and
Coffee and
grief,
grief.
how it's kind of bitter. There's like a sweetness if you if you look for it.
Yeah.
Coffee is bitter. Grief is bitter. But we don't have to stop there. Both of those can be bittersweet.
So the coffee I was going for, very much like bittersweet.
Yeah.
Like coffee is in general, but
Yeah.
like there's kind of a bitterness in the front end
Yeah.
of it. With like a sweet finish.
Right.
I get a sense of like Black royalty in the ways that you just kind of come across and present yourself.
Okay.
And Black royalty to me, like I think purple.
Mm-hmm.
I was going for like kind of like a plum grape
Come on.
in there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
Cool.
That's a dope concept. So it's like we've tried to do that, but we've done it to a lesser degree.
Okay.
Right? So it's like the way that you even thought of the like, oh, this is what I thought, and this is the color, and so this is the color of the fruit that I hope that will come out. That's dope. Like, Toni Morrison is my favorite author. Okay. And so one of the first coffees that we made was called Toni. Okay. And it was, and as we wrote the like tasting notes on the front, we wanted to write it in a way that was accessible, true to Toni, and different from some of the pretentious, right? Like people, butternut squash with a hint of raisin, right? So we wrote on the front, no, this is savory, smooth, and unapologetically chocolate. I love about Toni is that she was so unapologetically Black in what she wrote. The early reviews of her were, Toni, your work is great. We can't wait until you start to write American stories. She's like, oh, no, listen. White people are never gonna be the central characters in my story because like I'm writing American stories, but they center the Black folks because guess what? The Black folks that are here are just as American as the rest. And so she was just unapologetically Black in all that she did. And we really wanted to create a coffee and a blend a year round that was just all of the things that we felt like she was. So it's that mindset even is dope.
Speaking of, stack it up till it's high as the stars in the skies. Always told to shine bright. You see, yeah. I've been starting with the one looking right at me, slipping at a high rate, moonwalking, backtracking. Clear as black and white. Sometimes we need a break. Human nature don't want to be here and get away. But I think it's time for me to start something. Being the change you want to see, thrilling thinking of it.
Our journey with John continues to the heart of Atlanta. We're about to take a tour of the future location of the first portrait coffee shop. It's actually already up and running, but for now, at the time of shooting, we see the promise of what's to come. The vision for a community nurtured by great coffee. Come with us for a peek under the hood of Portrait.
So it all started here, and it's funny, like this is the last place that's gonna be up and running. So next month will be 3 years ago we signed a 5-year lease, the month the pandemic started. And a week later, they were shooting a movie in here, so they sublet from us. And then a week after that, the pandemic hit. So that just gave us the runway to think about, hey, how are we going to build the rest of the business? So the bar will be right in here.
I see it.
Yep. Kitchen there in the back. They'll fix food. Bench seating all across here.
Could you tell the story about the history of this building, the Lottie Watkins building?
Oh, yeah. So she was the first Black real estate agent in Atlanta. And so her family still owns this building. There was a building maybe 3 blocks from here that we had some friends that were in coffee, and they were looking at the building for a shop, and I think they looked like maybe 2 weeks before we went and looked. And we started to compare notes on what they offered us in terms of tenant improvement, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, interesting. They offered y'all a much better rate than they did to us. And we scaled back, and the Watkins family's been fantastic, stellar, so.
Speaking of, stack it up to the high as the stars in the sky. Always told us shine bright, you see it in my eyes.
So right there, that's the first roaster that we bought. We could have been fine there, but we would have had to continue to bring on more staff. And the more staff that you bring on, the less that you can pay staff, right?
Okay.
So if you bag and ship up all of that coffee, and you have to pay one person on the line to spend time and weigh how much you're gonna put in each bag. And then you gotta pay one person to seal the bag. And then you gotta pay one person to take the bag and to move it. Then what you can do is you can create a bunch of $10 an hour jobs, but it's creating a job, not a career. Or what you could do is say, hey, I'm actually going to invest in the money to automate all of that. When you sit down, right, it's all right, I want 12 ounces in the bag. I step on the pedal, 12 ounces comes down. I put it on the conveyor belt, it seals it, catches it. So now what we have is one person can sit there and do the job of 3 folks, and we say, oh, we can turn that into a career and not a job. So where we can invest in technology to make things efficient, we want to do that so that we can on the back end use the money that we save to put back into the pockets of the people that work here.
That's kind of what I did at the warehouse job I was talking about. That was a mess, but it was 3-4 people still on it when it felt like it didn't have to be.
Right.
But that kind of, it makes sense that we were all paid like minimum wage.
Right.
And it just felt real redundant.
Yep. Green coffee in the bags, roasted coffee in the bins. And then once we pack up, we lift up the garage door, we put it right out, and like you heard the USPS come through. They get those bags on the outside, and that's it. So it's a tight little system.
That concludes our time with John today, and man, what a day. What John and I talked about and what I learned from him could fill a show. It's a good thing I had a film crew around. I couldn't leave without some portrait coffee. If you know anything about me, it's probably that I love free coffee. So when John said, take what you want, whoo, I had to practice some restraint. Oh, I almost forgot to give John his coffee.
Not awkward at all.
This is dope. I'm excited. Cool.
Are we starting? Is that what this is?
She's like, oh, yeah. Okay. No.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll talk more about that when we. So are we actually starting now? Are we starting? Yeah. No. It's all good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No. I love it. It's fine.
Yeah. No,
That's fine.
Yeah, it's like a cherry bomb.
Yeah. Michael, man, you're not getting that drink back, bro.
Oh yeah. No, go ahead. Let me try this flat white. Let me hear.
Like there was, I don't know if anybody saw, but I went.
No. Get your coffee.
You got the hair going, and I can't really see you, so there we go. That's better for me. Thank you.
Yeah, need to move mine out the way.
Just a little to the side, just a little. Thank you.
What's wrong?
Just took too long to brew, which means it's gonna be real bitter. Not the worst shot, but it's not ideal.
Hot, burn my throat.
Oh, careful, it's hot.
I'm just gonna record it just so we know.
That's a wrap.
So I was laughing when you said that.